God level, you can tell him I said it. Level up. God level, you can tell him I said it. Level up. God level, you can tell him I said it. Level up, level up, level up, go. Everything, that means everything. Eyes connected to everything, and that's why, I'm in everything. All eyes on me, all eyes on everything. That means everything. Eyes connected to everything.
And that's why. What's going on, y'all, on this wonderful Tuesday? Hey, appreciate having y'all in the house and the place to be. Oh, we just lost one. And it's all good, right? Hey, welcome to everybody who's viewing out there. This is Things That People Don't Want to Talk About, brought to you by God Level, who is doing God Level things at the moment. But that's all right, because we're just going to keep it going on this wonderful Tuesday. It's warm outside. Y'all can see I'm your girl, Ivy. I'm looking crazy in my onesie. It's a onesie day, right? I'm feeling my inner kid. It's a onesie day. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I'm like, hey, let's go ahead and get to it. We can start with some introductions. So, Mr. John Skywalker, would you please introduce yourself, sir?
John Skywalker, the Sly Talker here. I'm a lyricist, spoken word artist, martial artist, personal trainer, lover of life, student of psychology, and I'm a father who is currently taking personal training clients right now, virtually, right? Hey, if you have diabetes, you just discovered you got high blood pressure, if you got cancer, if you're just trying to recover from an old work injury, if you're just trying to lose some weight, whatever your goals are, if you're struggling to meet them and get some serious results, hit me up at master.johnskywalker on Instagram. Master.johnskywalker. Salute.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Mr. Skywalker. And listen, he is the bomb.com. You know what I'm saying? He be having them 10-ton guns. You know, just. All right. Hey, Sherman, you want to come in and introduce yourself, brother?
I am Sherman Vaughn. My intro will probably never be as decorated, but I love to be in a room.
I don't talk about it ain't gonna be as decorated. You just decorated right now.
This guy, man.
Listen, he comes in, he drops gems, and he be like, "Oh, I'm just."
He's still young. He's still young, talking like that.
I got time. A little bit.
You got time, bro. I'm telling you, big up yourself, bro. Big up yourself, because you come in and you do the thing. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
Hey, thank you very much, Sherman. Mr. New, he just popped back in. Mr. King Newborn, would you please introduce yourself since you just came back in?
Peace. This King Newborn. You can follow me on all social media platforms at Newborn Everything. And always, because I'm late, I am that I am of service to family, friends, and loved ones. Peace. Don't know what I just. Shit.
He'll be back. Yeah, he'll be back. Okay, and Mr. Mike Lee, I wanted to leave you last, brother, since you coming in here. You're kind of like, you're a special guest. Mr. Mike Lee, please go ahead and represent yourself, sir.
Yeah, first of all, thank you guys, for being consistent. That's the biggest thing. It's the hardest thing. So you guys are doing the work, and everything compounds. You eat, and then all of a sudden your belt buckle switch. You're pregnant, and then all of a sudden you got a whole baby, right? You can't walk, and then all of a sudden you're running. Like, everything happens gradually, then all of a sudden. So congratulations on all of you guys' early success. I am Mike Lee. I am a financial guru. I'm big on just making sure the Black community is hip to everything that's happening. I'm kind of like Robin Hood. I go and I take all the goods and I bring it back to the crib. So if y'all need me, if y'all want to talk money, let me know. I got your back. I'm here for you.
Appreciate it, Mr. Mike Lee. And I am so excited that you are here together, and we've got these 4 phenomenal and magnificent Black men representing, because what is today's topic? Do you know a good Black man when you see one? This is a carryover. Part 2. This is a carryover from last week. Listen, look, I left my notebook over there, and I left my wine. My wine is downstairs today, but still, I'm like, let's get into it, because y'all was dropping gems last week. you know, and we've got some more. Let's drop some more gems. I'm like, let's get it cracking. I remember that last week we had like Mike Lee. He dropped a bomb, and then it was like, we gonna stop. We gonna stop, and we gonna save this for the next week. And I was like, oh, so let me go ahead and grab my signs, and let me grab my wine, and let me grab my notebook and my handy dandy pencil, because I'm ready. Go right ahead, Mr. Mike Lee. Would you like to kick it off for us, sir?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So if you guys don't remember, we was having an incredible conversation last week, and we simply ran out of time. It got really, really good, and we actually continued to carry on the conversation for a couple minutes after the show was airing. And one of the last things that we were talking about in that brief time is, would a woman rather have a man who's a millionaire and is not necessarily such a great man, or would they rather have a man that might be struggling but has all the moral principles and the integrity and things like that? And we were going back and forth. It was a good conversation. And one of the things that I wanted to mention, and I guess this is where I got cut off, is money is just a magnifier. Okay, so if you are someone who's an asshole without money, if you're a broke asshole, you're going to be even more of an asshole when you have money. If you don't have integrity as a broke man, you're not going to have integrity when you got money. So, and it works the exact same way. If you are A1 from day one, and you hold it down, and you got integrity, and you're trying to take care of your family, coming across a lick or coming across some money is not going to change who you are, because it's simply a magnifier of who you are. So we still got to get back to the basics. Like, are we looking for a good man? Because if we're looking for a good man, sometimes you got to wait it out. Just because he doesn't have the financial means that you may want him to have does not mean that he's not a good man. Or just because somebody does have the financial means that you may want them to have doesn't make them a good man. So I just wanted to kind of just reintroduce that subject and reintroduce that point, because I think it was such a major topic. A lot of you ladies, we can't answer for you guys, but a lot of you ladies have to really look at, what would I rather have? You know, the allure of a financial stability, or the actual stability of, you know, having a confident man who believes in me, who trusts me, who, you know, takes care of me, who is, you know, territorial but not jealous. You know, like some of the things that real men, you know, because let's really get into it. It's okay for a man to be territorial, right? It's okay for a man to be able to say, hey, listen, this is my lady, and I'm going to make sure that she's taken care of. And ain't no motherfucker going to just come up and run up on her and say any type of thing and do any type of. All of that is fine. All of that is fine. But that's completely different than jealousy. So I just wanted to bring the conversation back in. I know we got a lot of different things that we're going to talk about, but I just wanted to bring that point back in.
I'm like, you better spit them gems, Mr. Mike Lee, because that is a bar. I heard somebody a long time ago that I considered a good man say, I'm not jealous, I'm territorial. Those exact words. And I was like, oh, okay. Shing. You know, just like, go ahead and put that in there. And I just want to point out, thank you very much for saying that, especially talking about like the financial bits, you know, because like me and God Level said like last week, it's like we know a lot. Oh, I've even heard a man go so far to say, oh, I'm 6'5", I make six figures, and I still got all my teeth. That means that I am in the top tier 10% of black men that are available in the United States of America. And I was like, okay, we counting teeth and height now. Like, that's it? Yeah, you know? I'm like, and it was, I don't know. It was interesting to me. Go ahead, John, because you know, you be asking all the questions, boo-boo.
Well, I was just going to say, you know, again, back to that question right there, just the significance, right? Again, how are you evaluating your guy, right? Your prospect? You'll have some women that say that emotional intelligence and character are important, and they could be telling the truth, right? But it's still a matter of priorities, right? So a lot of the times you get a lot of women that perhaps from their experience, you know, dealt with a lot of brokies, as they call them now, and that's traumatizing. And so you go to the extreme and you say, all right, well, this is the priority because that was so traumatizing, and you just hyper focused on these main qualities because the experience endured, the negative experience endured for so long. You feel like you have to overcompensate for that. So,
Mhm.
I mean, that's the explanation, that's the understanding, that's the rationale. But we just want to get some clarity. How are you prioritizing your preferences, the qualities of a man, or what you deem a good man, right? The tools, the resources, his access to those resources, that's one department, right? You want a man that's resourceful. In essence, that's what you're saying, right? You summarize it, but of course that resourcefulness is going to be very particular, it's going to be very specific, right? So we're just trying to evaluate, like, yo, is it really as important as you say it is? Because yeah, money can run out, right? Job situations can change, but what about that emotional intelligence? Is it getting better or worse? What about his character? Is he switching it up on you? Is the infidelity on the rise now? Is he lying too much? Is he manipulating you too much? Is he not standing on his values anymore? Or do you guys not? Those things, they tend to matter in terms of compatibility. There's different tiers to compatibility, but I just want us to be clear. How are you prioritizing needs, wants, preferences when it comes to evaluating a good man? Are there stereotypes that make it harder for people to recognize a good black man when they see one?
Yes. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna try to go ahead and spit them out though before I get started, because I mean, I know I've been. Listen, I have made some journeys, okay, and I've learned a lot of stuff about myself, and I can definitely recognize how I think I probably fed into these stereotypes because of just how like how you were talking about before, John, about like my own trauma. You know what I'm saying? And not being able to recognize what goes beyond, like, not instead looking at red flags like they were concrete instead of they were a bitch. Does that make any sense? Like,
okay.
Does that make? I hope that makes sense to you, because okay, so for instance, I watched my mother get domineered, like for most of their for their marriage before she passed away. And for me, I'm like, oh, if you yelling at me, not yelling at me, but if you're forcefully, what I'm saying, being like, you can't tell. Oh, there she goes. Hey. Hello. But I'll just keep up my
sliding.
We gonna bring you in.
Keep going.
Okay. All right. But not so much as domineering, but like not realizing that there's a way that somebody can tell you something in love, and there's a way that somebody can be telling you something that's controlling and manipulating. But if it had the same tone, I couldn't differentiate, if that makes any difference. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like if like thinking that, like some of the stereotypes, thinking that if somebody, if they want to take me out, they want to fly me here, they want to take me on a good time, then that means that, this one is a keeper, but not seeing those other things that lie beneath that. Because I have been like, the stereotype was a man provides. There was no emotional intelligence that was supposed to be involved in that component. You know what I'm saying? And I didn't even know for myself that I was lacking in the emotional intelligence component until I finally figured out that that's something that I was missing. So I can definitely say that one of the stereotypes that makes it harder is thinking that a man just is like only supposed to provide, or a man only supposed to protect. Like there's no gray area for multidimensionality, if that makes sense.
So it's another level of oppression for the most part.
Ooh, I didn't say it, but you
Because you're put, because we're basically saying he's placed in the box. He only has one function, so he can't do anything else, not even fatherhood, which is why the absentee father is such a a strong stereotype for us. All he can do is provide. He can't be a father, but he can at least provide. And if he can't do that, well, what else is he good for?
That's kind of I think that definitely feeds into it. What kind of stereotypes have you wonderful gracious men, like what have you kind of like fallen into, and what have you heard about yourselves that thinks it's been maybe difficult for people to recognize you for who you really are? Is that a thing?
Bless you.
Yeah. It is.
Okay.
It
Okay.
is.
All right. Let's talk about it, Sharon.
It becomes competition over time because it starts off sweet. Everything has a honeymoon phase, of course, but over time, that I guess that boring life or that structured life, as I would call it, it gets stale, and I see competition constantly. Whether it's not it's not them versus the problem, it's the man, the problem, and then her. They're never fighting together. It's never a benefit of the doubt. So those stereotypes do make it harder because they make it chaotic. That's that's my take.
Wow.
Okay, Kristen.
Okay. Hey, thank you, Christine. Yeah, she was in the spot with us, John. Yeah, thank you, Bella.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah. My other ex boyfriends are incredible Black fathers. Man, come on, represent because people need to hear that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I think that. Thank you, girl. Thank you for chiming in. Yeah. No, that's thank you for saying that, Sherman. Like any of you other guys, like have you kind of butted up against like I guess the reality and the you know what I'm saying like the reality and the fantasy of who you're supposed to be as a Black man?
Well, let me
I
just
mean,
toast on what Sherman said for a hot second. First of all, we gotta recognize where are we getting the definition of a good Black man. You know what I'm saying? Like, is it from the television? Is it Morris Chestnut because he's handsome and he got good jawbones? You know, like where are we getting this definition? Because yes, we do have stereotypes. We do have to. We are expected to be the provider. We are expected to be the protector. We are expected to um, be the listener. And I'm not saying these are bad things at all. I'm just saying that number one, as a Black man, there's an additional level of pressure that rests on us, just in general, that no one that's not a Black man will understand. And let me just get that out the way. Okay. However, when you take all the pressure that we have on our shoulders as Black men, a lot of the times what we're looking for and what we need is somebody who we talked about it last time, somebody that we can be vulnerable with, right? And being vulnerable is a stereotype. We become weak Black men if we decide to be vulnerable or open up. You know, we become someone who's not strong anymore based on us having emotions. You know, so that is a stereotype that unfortunately us as Black men we try to address ahead of time. We stay tough, we stay rough, we don't open up because of the stereotype. It will make it a lot easier for us to find our person if we can be transparent, if we can be strong Black man, however, still have the ability to relay our message and be able to communicate properly. You know, one thing that I always ask people is, what's more important to you, action or intent? So let's go back to what you said, Ivy. You said you had a man, he may have um, spoke to you in a certain way. What is more important, how he said it or his intent of how he was saying it, or his intent behind what he was saying?
I was getting ready to like,
Both of them are important. Both of them are important, but what's more important?
that's I'm like, that is a slippery slope. I mean, the reason why I'm gonna say that, right, is because so I learned a quote, right, and it says the road to good intentions are always the road to good behavior is always paved with like intents, right? And something that I learned myself, like in my own journey, is that we always judge ourselves by our intent, but other people judge us by our actions, right? So that's why like in just like in communications with my kids, right? It's like I would think that I always had good intentions, right? But before I went through therapy, before I did the work, my words, they didn't necessarily come out that created space for safety. They didn't. So for me, it's like if you don't understand somebody, it's like you only see their actions and you can't get to know their intentions until you get to know them. However, it's like there's a really fine line between intentions and actions. So I just wanted to throw that in there. And
No. I completely agree with every word that you said, every single word that you said. But what I'm going with this is sometimes you can't necessarily look at a man's actions. You have to look at his intent, because all people have scar tissue. Some people were raised different ways. Both of my parents were military. My dad was a master sergeant, and my mom did 17 years in the military. So the way that I initially learned to communicate with people was not, there was no malice behind it. It's just how I learned how to communicate. What did it for me is finding a spouse that understood my intent beyond my actions, so I can learn how to act differently, right? So that's why I ask, like, it's a lot of pressure that falls on our shoulders, you know, and sometimes to find a good man, you got to look at the intent and allow him to communicate. Have an open chain of communication so he can work on his actions. Because not everybody's going to come in 100%. The 100% good nigga is not there. You know what I'm saying? He's going to have some things that you don't like, and you're going to have some things that he don't like. But sometimes it's the communication factor that we're missing.
And that right there, that's a whole entire another show. Like, because I think sometimes you got a lot of people out here who are looking for, look, I'm just gonna go ahead and spit it out. They looking for super nigga. You know what I'm saying? It's like they want the one who can do everything. And I'm like, but we're all human. You know? Like, there's gotta be that give and that take. There's always that 80-20. Okay, I'm gonna be quiet. I'm going on mute.
Can I just say something? Can I say something?
Absolutely.
How y'all doing?
Man.
Stereotypes are created in broken home by unhealthy people.
I'll leave for 2 seconds, and that's what you come in with? Really? You just coming in hot?
I'm. If you sit down and think about it, where are you getting most of your advice from? At home, by what your parents going through and what they seen their parent went through. So they're trying to give you the best advice as to, okay, grandmama had a man that wasn't no good, that wasn't a good provider. Make sure you get you a man that's going to provide. You know, it just travels down the line. Make sure he ain't a cheater. Make sure he don't beat on you. You know, it's always those main things that was a problem in the previous relationships that us people, we tell our children, okay, this is what you don't want to do. Like, for instance, with my situation, I tell my daughters, my kids, don't love anybody more than you love yourself. We're still learning. So the stereotypes are created in broken home by unhealthy people. Okay, I'm just leave it at that. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because I mean, when you think about it, yeah, a stereotype is just a shortcut, right? It's just a cognitive shortcut. So there are cultural stereotypes, and then, yeah, there are personal stereotypes, right? And they can be shared. But yeah, okay, so here it is. Mom is passing on. Now, I wanted to highlight something here, right? The story, right? That's what it's about. It's about the stories we tell ourselves about other people. So the messages and the stories, how do you know that they line up? Like, let's just say, for example, do your moms pass on good things about good black men? Like, hey, if you want a good black man, do these things right. Like, are they passing down those recipes too?
My mother gave me the blueprint of the kind of relationship I need to avoid.
I will say, for me,
I love her. Rest in peace, Mom. But she gave me the blueprint. I'm living this life with this man. It's not good. It's not healthy. To me, that's the blueprint of what not to be like. But a lot of us end up getting in situations like that because it feels so familiar. It feels like home.
That is very true. However, I can say now, speaking of my mom, now that I have like a little bit more of maybe an expanded view of relationships, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm moving out of that hurt, you know what I'm saying? It's like I can see that there was both good and bad, because on one side it's like, you know, my dad is a very multi-dimensional figure, right? So even though he was very harsh, very a little misogynistic, pretty, you know what I'm saying, all of those different things. Also, but he was very direct, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't gonna lie about anything. He was like, I did it and what? You know what I'm saying? I mean, he provided. The man worked, like he worked really, really hard, you know what I'm saying, to provide. So I can say that those are two things that I got from, you know, from watching that relationship as well. I don't know if anybody else has anything to say about, you know, about that as well, but yeah, that's my little view. Oh, and okay, Saul. All right.
I know I wasn't finished reading it.
Oh.
Yeah.
My bad.
Saul be coming through, baby. Be coming through.
Be decisive but compassionate. With bodies of potential. Growth is the goal. Make it count. Make it healthy. Thank you all for the man. Saul is always like, always spitting.
Bodies of potential, which is unused energy. Use it.
I like that. I gotta put back up what Christine said though, because this one right here kind of hit me in the oh my goodness, and I was like, what? Speaking of stereotypes, right? Speaking of stereotypes, that's another show, like for real, because you got a lot of sisters who are like, oh, they don't want to date a black man because these black men have had stereotypes. And they're like, they only exclusively date outside of their race. Oh, I'm gonna go on mute. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna be quiet.
Yeah, I know someone who dates exclusively outside of her race. She does not want to date black men at all because of the trauma that she has endured with black men growing
There
up.
you go.
So that was her reason for not wanting to date inside her race. So yeah. It's all in your experience, your trauma. She watched her father be very abusive to her mother. So she was like, you know what? That's not the kind of man I want. I don't want no black man. And only to go to the other side.
Yeah,
and guess what?
That only happens when you only look at black people like that if you're in here.
Some of the same.
You gonna come on?
You can get the same thing with a different face in a different scenario, but it's the same
there
thing.
You go.
Because life will keep teaching you the same lesson over and over and over again until you understand it. You have to heal. You cannot run away from it. You cannot get past it. You have to look at it and you have to beat that obstacle. You have to make that demon into your angel. You have to. Because if you don't, you won't find out how to take accountability and you'll never grow up.
You'll never grow up.
A lot of people don't have yet to realize that, hey, the home was toxic. The home was unhealthy. You know, that self-awareness, that taking a step back and looking at everything like, you know what, that wasn't right. The way she dealt with him wasn't right. The way he dealt with her wasn't right. Like, and you walk away with those unhealthy habits.
And if you never heal, you'll see every man is that same boogeyman.
Man, say word. This is crazy talk right here. That Nate is talking about.
Oh my God.
This is crazy work because the same thing happened to my cousin. Maybe I shouldn't say this out loud. Nope, I'm going to say it. It already came out. Okay, so.
And it happens to black men as well when dating. Yeah.
Yes, and I've heard that as well. It's like I've heard that
it's on both parts. Yeah.
Yep, exactly. Like it's a
hurt people.
Come on, man. And it's the stereotypes that feed into that, because I've also heard that there are, white guys who only date black women because, it's like they have that, there's that thing. And the same thing, there can be the same thing on each side. And that's why it's like, it's really, really important to break those stereotypes. But let's go ahead and get into this question.
It is really important to be a healthy individual.
Man. That's what we gotta start.
Like breaking the stereotype. Have you been to therapy? Have you healed from your trauma? You still carrying some damn baggage from 10, 20 years ago? Because I don't have time to unpack that shit with you. I need for you to handle that on your own. Be patient. No, honey, I don't have it.
So I do honestly wonder. I wonder about this question. Do women sometimes mistake toxic or controlling for strength and leadership?
Mm.
You know. Oh man, that is a lot to unpack.
It is.
Oh, who we got?
May I?
Oh,
Sometimes women mistake toxic and controlling behavior for strength and leadership. Women who have been abused by men tend to see them in a certain light and or trying to control the situation and prevent themselves from being hurt in the situation. So if they even if it's not real and they told themselves that it was real, they felt like their partner was controlling, then they're going to start operating out of trauma. It's going to be a trauma response. They got to control to prevent themselves from being controlled. But in the same time, they're hindering someone that is a good person that is just trying to help them both as a team and lead them in the right direction. And you're only going to get that with a man who knows himself. I'm sorry. You're only going to get that from a man who knows himself. Anything less than that, and you're going to have a whole lot of problems. So yeah.
makes sense.
Anybody else?
Well,
I mean, I just want to hear about somebody else saying that, like controlling or toxic behavior, strength and leadership. Oh, and I also wanted to go back to something that that Nate said. Women think that leadership is controlling. Okay, so now
women who have yet to heal. I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop you right there, Mr. Nate. Women who have yet to heal from their trauma will look at leadership as controlling. Period.
Mm-hmm.
So let me hit this topic. Let me hit this topic right in between the eyes. The short answer to the question is yes. Many women, especially women that was raised in environments where love was tied to control or chaos, they can definitely mistake toxic dominance for strength and leadership. Again, I think we talked about it a lot last week, but we're all going to be products of our environment until our environment changes. And it's often because control just feels familiar, and confidence without compassion can be mimicked for security. You got a compassionate man over here, you got a confident man over here. Two very different things, and true leadership really empowers people. It doesn't really dominate. So that's how I feel about it. But yeah, you can definitely mistake toxicity for leadership.
all right, brother. Let's get into it. What's the difference? Give us examples. What's the difference between control and leadership?
So I think leadership, again, it empowers, so think about raising kids. If you guys have children, it's a very easy example of showing the difference between control and leadership, because they don't have a choice. You're either going to control them or you're going to lead them. So when you're raising children, how do you raise them? Are you demanding them what to do? And I'm not saying that this is like, eye for eye in an adult relationship, but it's easy to kind of separate the two. Are you asking your children the type of questions that's going to help them get to the answer, or are you just telling them the answer? Are you allowing them to grow through action, through example, through speech, or are you hindering them through those different things? So it's a nuance, but when you break it down to its nascency, to the very basics of it, you see it. You see it. How would you talk to your child? How would you want somebody else to talk to your child? I got a kindergartner. I know one thing. Y'all better respect my son and talk to him like he's an adult, because that's how I talk to him. You see what I'm saying? I talk to him with respect. So I'm trying to lead a child. I'm not trying to raise a child. I'm trying to lead a child. So that's my input.
Okay,
Like
so the
every
same
man
thing
on here
applies.
nodded. Every man on here,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
I was
every
peeping
man
that.
on here nodded. Every single last one of y'all.
So
Mhm.
so basically, you're saying that in relationships, that a man is to speak to their partner the same way that they would want to be spoken to.
Yes, but not just necessarily the same way that they would want to be spoken to, but also the way that you would want to be spoken to. Like there's a respect factor that you have to take in consideration, and you have to be able to communicate in a way where people can hear you. Like if I raise my voice, my spouse may not be able to hear what I'm saying. All they can hear is me yelling. You know, I have to be able to communicate in a way that is conducive for them. You know, just like you can't overspeak a 6-year-old. You can't use big words, big braggadocious words that he's not going to understand because the point is to communicate, not to talk, but to actually communicate. I think that's the biggest difference is really meeting people halfway and
Yeah.
making sure that they understand what you're actually trying to relay.
Little small add on. We really pushing for understanding and comprehension. That's very important. Very important. Most of the time, there's no comprehension.
Yeah,
None.
turn them down. So
Understanding
came
is so vital in any relationship.
came out so hard. King the one.
Oh, my bad.
Oh my goodness.
My bad. Just saying, sometimes we don't comprehend what's really being said to us. And like Mike Lee said, you may be trying your best to lower your tone in your speech, but because it kind of come off passionately, we don't hear nothing that's being said. You yelling at me right now.
Aggressive.
Which sometimes you have women that say, "Why? When you was talking crazy to me, why you ain't talk crazy to him?" You be like, "Dang, ouch." Wait a minute, hey, boo, baby. I wasn't talking like that to you. I was actually toning it down when I was talking to you. Now, if I talk to him like that, I'm talking with the understanding there's a very thin line of being respectful and being disrespectful. Very, very thin line. That's a different of an intent then.
Be the one thing in that conversation.
So now I'm just putting it out there because Mike Lee did just say he was like you kind of communicate, you communicate on a level that for
Hell. Bring that question back up so I can answer it properly.
Go ahead. Go ahead. You got it. Bill.
Oh, okay.
I'm just waiting on that.
What are we waiting on?
This question. Hell no.
You don't think so? You don't think it's possible for a man to be good to one woman,
but not to another? If you are a good person, a good human being, you mean to tell me you're gonna take our time to be good to this person, then be shitty to the next?
But what?
Not in you. It's just shit that's some old manipulation.
But what considers good? What is considered as good?
That's a good question.
I mean,
what is considered good?
Yeah, because I was about to say, I'm like,
John, you wrote it.
Go ahead, John.
Look, we're just saying subjectively. We're just
to one woman, but not to another.
Yeah.
I think it is. Honestly.
All right, so compatibility is highly personal, okay? A man's qualities might resonate perfectly with, this woman's values and needs, and then same thing might cause some friction over here, you know? So I don't think that the fact that it's not compatible with her lifestyle and her needs and her preferences, I don't think that that incompatibility diminishes his goodness. I think it just highlights the importance of mutual understanding.
Comprehension.
Being like who they are, not who they pretend to be. So
Yeah, because it's I can, you know, exhibit all the same qualities in all of my relationships. Matter of fact, I was just talking about this today when it comes to my parenting. I'm not the parent for every kid. I know that about myself, right? So what I'm looking for is that compatibility. I mean, I feel like I could, you know, father any child, but also there is a compatibility issue. So one kid will say, you know, man, if I could just have a dad like John, and there could be a whole wealth of kids that think that in that compatibility, right? But a lot of the times you're thinking, you know, you're thinking in a different context, right? But then same kids, different dad, they don't feel that way. So individual differences. It's like I could be the same way to every child, but will every child receive me? I could be the same way with every woman, but will every woman receive me in that because you know she has her experiences, she has her filter. All right, so I have to respect that. Hey, maybe I'm just not for her. In all of my goodness, maybe I'm just not for her. I can move on to the next one. You know, I could take that, and I've done it.
yeah,
Right. But so that's also part of respecting, you know, the autonomy of a woman, the self-determination of a woman. You know, it's not. I'm not trying to control you. I don't want you to just be here. I want you to love it here. And so if you do, cool. That's the schematic. You're just confirming what I believe to be true about myself and my ambiance. Right. So, all right. Intentionally trying to be a good man, and then this woman says otherwise, and I know she's lying, but it's still all about the story. Her stereotypes versus my truth. And a lot of the times you're going to believe the stereotypes because it just sounds better. It's more juicy. It's more exciting.
It's salacious. It fits the
I mean,
narrative.
think about Papoose and Remy and Clarissa Shields, right? Stand up dude. But all the women out there were arguing, and respect to y'all for y'all opinions and your feelings, but this is he did something, no evidence, but he did something. No, nobody's that perfect. It's like you can't even just be good enough. You have to be perfect. That was the argument. You couldn't find anything on this man, but you had to conjure up something. So here it is. Stereotype. Living in the truth. Ain't did nothing wrong. Just being myself. Good guy. And somehow I got caught in that crossfire. I ain't do nothing. I was just being a good dude. And then pow, like I just caught a stray from these women over here. Because they didn't like what happened to this chick. And she was the one that, dang, she was the one who was, you know? So it's what are these stories, these stereotypes of consciousness that's influencing your perception of whether good men are out there and what they do and how they operate. Where are the good men at? Okay, well, what do you think good men do? What do you think? Just, you know, let's just shoot them off, right? And you don't know. Nothing comes out because you don't know. But you know what you want, but you don't know what you're looking for. But you know what you want, right? This is about the accountability for our thoughts. It's about the accountability for our convictions, our preferences. Hey, you know, I need to prioritize some of this stuff. You know, I need to reorganize this. Like maybe if I shift this around, I could probably get this and then compensate. You know, we're just making the adjustments here just to see if we can make it work. That's it. Like the goal is to be in the presence of goodness, good men, good people, good family, good tribes, good jobs.
Yes.
Right? But do you know what it looks like before it comes to you? Because you don't need to chase a good man. You attract a good man. All right? Like he's attracted to you too if you're a good person. If you're a good person.
Right.
Right? And then here comes that part, right? Well, I know I'm a good person. Do you though? Are you being a little bit too haughty here.
It's true. I
I
got
feel you,
something
man.
about that.
I think we're all just looking for fertile ground. You know, we're all looking for a place where we can go and grow. And sometimes fertile ground is going to be different based on the seed that you're planting. You know, some seeds needed to be warm and tropical. Some seeds needed to be, you know, at a certain temperature. You know, it's kind of like fire. Fire can either heat a room, light up a room, or it can also consume.
Man.
The fire from a candle is the right amount of heat, the right amount of energy, and the right amount of light to bring happiness to people. But the fire from an arson or a fire from a stove that gets out of control is too much. So it's really just trying to find the place where we're in a place where we're conducive and we can grow. So I think, yes, you can. It's possible for a man to be good to one woman but not another. But we can all agree that there are qualities that is baseline. You know, you got to have integrity. You got to have, you know, emotional intelligence. We all can agree with that stuff, but compatibility is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
There we go. Yeah, because I was getting ready to say now. This is. Oh, go ahead, Sharon. Go ahead.
I'll keep mine short. It was speaking to that toxicity thing, John, that you was talking about. You went on about just a little bit, and it kind of veers back to a previous question. Society has taught not just women, but I think of people in whole, that you can make reality whatever you want it to be. You can make up any rule. You can make up what good looks like, because you know what you want. You know you want these materialistic items. You know that you want this house, the white picket fence, the family, the whole nine. But are you ready for that? Do you even know what it looks like to be a good wife? Do you know what it looks like to be a good cheerleader? Do you know what it looks like to be a good person? Everybody has the access to just change their mind and not deal with hard. Because it seems like, as of right now, you only deal with highs. You never go low. And since nobody's perfect, everybody's not good enough. You'll never be good enough. It's absolutely insatiable. So, figure out what good is first. Figure out who you are second. Or you can even swap those if you want. And then go out into the world. Because you'll only leave fire if you don't do those. You'll fuck up more people.
Man, that is so true. So true. Oh, let's talk about it. And I see you, brother D. Ovid, and Christine. These are extensions, baby. They're not mine. But thank you very much. I appreciate it. So, social media. Yes. How does it influence women's expectations? Oh, yeah, 15 years. Girl, you telling that age. You telling that age.
Wow.
I'm just playing. Everybody knows I'm old as shit. It's okay. It's perfectly fine. No, but I'm saying, let's go ahead and go to that, because, man, this is major, yo. Okay, literally, I remember I was having a talk with my oldest son. My oldest son is 24, right? And my oldest son, you know, I try to encourage him. I'm like, you're a young man, you know, live your life, right? And so I'm a mom, right? So of course I'm asking invasive questions. It's just kind of comes with the place, right? I'm like, son, you know, I was like, you know, why don't you take your friend X, Y, and Z, your little friend, like on a date, you know? And he's like, nah, man. He was like, because these girls today, all they want is they just want to do with money. They don't want to do with, they don't want a good guy. They don't want somebody who's got a good heart, because he'll get clowned. He'll be called a simp. And I'm like, what? And this is at 24. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just like, really, son? And he was like, yeah. He was like, you hear it all over Twitter, all over Instagram, all the time. He was like, that's what you see. And I'm like, it just caused me to think that the loudest voices are the simplest fucking voices. They're the ones that are out there talking about make sure you get a bag, make sure you get this, make sure you da 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 da. And there's not any like, there's no talk about what's real in a relationship. And let's go ahead and keep it a buck. How many of us have really seen good, healthy Black relationships? Like lived in that. You know what I'm saying? Like how many of us like lived in it for real? There's not a lot. So it's like a lot of our younger generation, they still don't have that good idea of that. You know what I'm
Good
saying?
example.
Yes, you are, Diamond. Yes, you are. But who's in your house to witness that? You know what I'm saying? I mean, because let's keep that a book. People got to watch it. You know what I'm saying? People got to see. They've got to see those healthy Black relationships to be able to be like, okay, I'm possible. I'm capable of being in one because they know what it takes. You know. Oh, by the way, Diamond, send me my hamster back because that mug he been tripping. He been calling me asking for money and shit. Go ahead, y'all. Go ahead.
No, I agree. I do think that social media is tricky because it gives people unrealistic expectations. Like, first of all, we already expect Black men to be masculine yet emotionally available. We expect Black men to be wealthy yet grounded. We expect them to be dominant yet gentle. It's like a walking contradiction because what you're seeing is not necessarily what you're seeing, you know. And everybody on social media, everybody's putting up their highlights anyway, the best version of themselves. Like,
Oh yeah.
how often, like they play that role for what, 10 minutes a day, you know, if that 10 minutes a month or whatever it is. So yeah, it does create a lot of friction. It does create a little bit more pressure. I think Sherman mentioned before that it feels like a competition a lot of the times. And social media is a big part of that because keep it a buck. If you're a attractive woman online, you already know, the men already know that dudes are in your DM. They don't care that you got a man. They don't care. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's a lot that goes on with that. But yes, I do think that it creates, it does influence the expectation of women.
Yeah, and not only that, but it's like the fantasy, like you just said, like we live in it. It's like it creates those fantasies. Like you expect for a man to be protective, but yet still emotionally vulnerable. Like there's no, you know what I'm saying? There's no in between. No, Diamond, bring me back my hamster. Bring me back my. I'm sorry, my bad. But yeah.
I can't. Oh my god. Okay, never mind. I'm just.
No, go ahead. Say what your chest, girl. Nope. Say what your chest. I'm like, cause I know I watch. What's the name of the show? Like they talked about it, like Trip Fontaine and Miss Kitty.
Oh yeah,
all
yeah,
of those,
it's a nice
like,
show.
Yes, right. I mean, so they're always talking about, ooh, that narrative is responsible for suicide and attempts. Yes, man, because people are like, we can't live up to what we see on social media to whose life this is. I mean, that's perfectly curated and crafted. Unless somebody be real, you know. So yeah.
Yeah.
So
I'm not gonna touch that.
Yeah, and then of course there's the hyper focus on wealth and status, right? I mean, we've all seen Pop the Balloon, right? And so
I think that is horrible.
it's entertainment. It's entertainment, right? But that's part of the discussion here is even though that's entertainment, we're all reacting to that, right? We're processing that. We're encoding that. And that is shaping our perception. We're believing some of that stuff now. Let's be clear. We're believing that this is how people think. We're thinking like, oh, okay, there's a 30-something and a 40-something that's speaking like this, thinking like this, dressing like this. You know, you're listening to the bios, you know, I'm an entrepreneur, and you're hearing this, I'm a model, you're hearing this, and you're like, is this what the dating scene is like these days? And then you see the social media videos. You remember that little run we had a couple of years ago? Because we haven't really seen it in a while. But, you know, Cheesecake Factory and all that, there was an attack on just basic eateries. Just basic eateries.
Like,
attack on that, like, nah, that's not good enough no more. We went through that little phase for a while.
I seen that,
right?
And I was like, what?
But everybody was talking about it now. Okay, now these days it's cooled down a little bit. I've looked around, I've checked the temperature. It's cooled down a bit. But we were going on a run those past couple of years. It was hard. You couldn't take a woman nowhere. The video, and then you come to find out a lot of these videos are fabricated.
Oh yeah,
they're not even real, but people believe the hype so much. Now they're afraid to date. Now they're afraid to interact, mingle. right? And so here it is. Black women having this stigma against them, black men having this stigma against them. Where are the good guys at? He got to still do this. And then it's like, as a guy, a lot of times we'll kind of go along with it, like, well, okay, let's just see where this goes. It's this new age. And then you get to the end and it's like, dang, I got scammed. I ain't gonna do this shit no more. I got burned.
No, I'm just kidding.
Right?
I was about to say,
so
no.
we know the social media has an influence, and we have to give credit, right? It's not just what we've been identifying this whole show is, where are the sources of our information? Where are the sources of our ideas? Where is the truth coming from, and where is the story coming from? And are you taking accountability for that narrative that you developed in your head, that you inherited in your head? Are you taking is it getting you what you want? Is it getting you where you want to go? I ain't got no good men in my life. Why? Like, what? Inventory your thoughts, your patterns. Inventory that are your thoughts serving you in the way to deliver you, right? Because I'm telling you from my sister's point of view right here, okay? I wouldn't still be here connecting with them, just like these brothers. I wouldn't be here connecting if they didn't do their part. So they had to have done something right for us to still be here. So I look at some of my female friends sometimes too, and it's like, hey, if you ain't got enough of them, you might want to look at you. And just tend to your garden, the garden in your mind. You might have some unchecked biases that are preventing you from attracting those good guys in your circle. It's usually the belief first and then the reality, not the other way around. Usually that's how it works.
I gotta go ahead. Thank you, Kathy Ann, for popping in. I appreciate you being here. And she asked the question: since times have changed, where now women are more a part of the workforce, should the expectations of men remain the same? And that's a good one, because let's talk about social media and how we talk about how we didn't even know this world emotional intelligence. What, 5-6 years? In the Black community,
we didn't know we was traumatized.
Man, come on, sis. I mean, because we really did.
I'm serious. We didn't know that we was operating out of trauma. So it's like before we jump into a relationship, go sit down on somebody's couch. Make sure you're good first before
you can answer that question, Miss Tan.
Oh.
I was waiting.
I was saying, Miss Tanner, was you about to answer that question?
No. I was asking that question. Like, I mean, should the expectations of men change? I personally, my opinion is that I think that they should. You know what I'm saying? Because, I mean, back in the day, you just got a husband because it was the thing to do for survival. You know what I'm saying? And because of the fact that women today, we are part of the workforce. We can't, I mean, single moms, they're going to school, working full-time jobs. They got a flower shop and a part-time hustle. You know what I'm saying? I mean, so it's like, but instead of survival, it's where are you matching to what goals? Oh, it depends on the woman's expectations. Oh, yes, because what one woman may see as a good man, I might personally turn up my lip and go,
yeah, be like, no, I'm not.
So
yeah,
true.
And that's
we just
true.
Talked about that. Yeah, John.
That is true. That. Oh no, he works at this place, but he's been there for 3-4 years. He's invested. He's moving up. Now he needs to make more money. You have that, yeah. Yeah.
You have to know your expectations. That's all. Because no matter where you want to go, if you want to build with that man, if he's good enough, quote unquote, you'll put your money where his money is. And then you'll build something together. Because since you are a part of the workforce, and you do say you love that man, you'll show what love is. Love is sacrifice, love is service. You can prove that.
I wanted Miss Tanner to finish what she was saying.
Okay.
What about what I was saying? I'm sorry. What was I saying?
Yeah.
What was I saying?
It's so bad.
Girl, say what you said. I'm like, say what you said.
I want what money can't buy.
I heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
so sorry.
Oh,
And I told this to my ex, I want what money can't buy. That trust, that honesty, that integrity. Like give me the love. I want what money can't buy.
beautiful.
I'm just saying, Kathy Ann just went ahead and nailed it.
Yeah, because a lot of us, Kathy, we didn't grow up in broken homes and have yet to see that the behaviors that we are exhibiting is due to the broken homes that we grew up in. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Nate asked a question. So
Yeah,
we have
yeah.
100%. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, simply put, there are some,
Mhm.
we're not generalizing it, but there are some that are
Yeah.
looking at marriage as a
Wanting the
status, and they're
wedding and
looking at
not
wedding, and weddings as
the
a status.
glitz,
It's a
the
status, though. Yeah,
glitz. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
There's so
The
Or
many
sometimes,
examples that should be
cake,
obvious to see sometimes.
gifts.
would you say, Sherbet? I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you, boo boo.
Just when it comes to, do they just want the wedding? There's so many examples, and if you just watch where you get your information, and even when you get your information, if you study your information and look for what you want to get out of it, meaning research and not just listen to and take whatever you hear as gospel, you figure it out. It's pretty easy to see the bad from the good now. That's what I like that social media has done. Other than that, social media is trash.
That is so very
Simply
true.
put.
Yeah. I teach my students and clients, my clients and students, to go for the reality you desire. If a woman desires a high roller for a man, she should not change that expectation. However, you need to be worthy of that which you expect.
Yeah,
Does
yeah,
Beautiful.
anybody ever watch that
yeah.
show, Dexter?
Beautifully said.
You need to be worthy of it. Yep.
Yeah. Has anybody ever watched that show, Dexter? You know, the one about the psychopath who goes around, da 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 da. Okay, so I didn't watch the whole entire thing, but I watched the first season, and it was something that popped up that was really interesting, right? Because he knew that he was a psychopath, but he was still trying to figure out relationships, right? So, a little bit of a spoiler. One of these episodes, he's getting ready to off this couple. They're really, really bad, right? It's like they're doing like human trafficking and stuff. And before he does what Dexter does, he asked them both. He said, "Why did you guys get married?" Very crazy question to ask right before you're getting ready to, off somebody. But he still said, he was like, "Why did you guys get married?" And they both said, they were like, "We shared the same goals." Right? We shared the same goals, and their goals were, I was like, wow. Because if you really look at it, it's like, who is it that has the potential to meet whatever your goal is? And if your goal is medium, don't be, don't be ashamed of wherever that goal is. Like you just said, God level, you was like, I want things that can't be bought.
Point blank, period.
That part.
I want what money cannot buy. Are y'all gonna address what Nate just said?
I'm so sorry, my bad. What did they say?
Please address it.
Oh, this part.
Yeah. Nor was I conditioned to marry. I was given an ultimatum, and many times men just rock with whatever the woman wants. We don't think of that shit at all.
Some do, yeah.
Okay.
That's not new. That's not new.
Comes with experience.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't conditioned to marry, but I like the idea of it. I was like, oh yeah, okay, I could see that. Yeah, I could work with that. Yeah. Oh, this is how you design, and you start playing with the idea.
Okay.
You nurture it and you try to make it your own. So I held on to it just like anybody else. But if you ain't got nobody to model it, it's a great idea to you, but execution.
Yeah, he said, because especially a man in the 20s, not thinking about it all that deep. But if I like you and you told me that you love me, you want some kids, then boom, let's do it. And then he learned. And let's go ahead and keep that a buck too, man. Look, I got married in my 20s. You know what I'm saying? And I got married not because I wanted to get married, but because of the fact that I thought, I was like, well, this is the next step. I guess get married, have kids, da 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 da. And I realize now, at that wonderful big age, I'm like, ooh, why did I get married? You know what I'm saying? So
because in your 20s, if you're even thinking about a relationship, you should be thinking that deep. Because choosing the right partner for you can be the most detrimental or the most beneficial thing that you can ever do in your life. So take your time until you're ready to think that deep. Don't get into a relationship.
There you go.
Because it's just as much work as going outside and working in, a 9 to 5. You got to come home and you got to work on your relationship as well. You can't let one outweigh the other.
Who gonna tell them though, Sharon? Who gonna tell them?
Hopefully they listen.
We hope they listen.
Yeah.
Do you think the community?
No.
Ooh, the community performs sufficiently to uplift and support Black men who are truly good but overlooked? Nope, because like we just said before, like I was telling you about what my son said, the loudest voices on social media are the ones that get the attention. The good guys.
A lot is being a lot of highlights on the things that men do wrong are showcased first or talked about first. Even though John have shared some stuff with me, about Black men healing, meditating, getting together and uplifting and building one another, you don't see that as much. You see the man over here that won't take order to get something to eat. You see the man over here that's cheating on his woman. You see the narcissistic guy. You don't see that the images of good Black men are not circulating as much as those of the negative ones.
And the other thing about that is when you see a quote unquote good Black man, he also has to be handsome. He also has to be muscular. He also has to be wealthy. He also has to be all these things that you want to wrap up in what people would consider a good Black man. And it comes in all shapes and forms. Not all good Black men have the financial stability or the muscles, necessary to fit your Instagram feed. However, there are a lot of good Black men out there that's compatible with you, that actually care about your well-being and all the things. So, no, I don't think that the community sufficiently uplifts the black men in our communities. However, I don't think that is only the responsibility of the community. I think more Black men need to come together. And when you find a group of good Black men, that's a little bit different than finding them on an individual basis. Like, I think that Black men, like Sherman mentioned last week, if you're dependent on your own opinion, then there is no growth available to you. So I think that there needs to be more situations where Black men are unified.
After the future.
So,
We need that sound. Where is that? Wow, thank you, Mike Lee. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it was Sherman who said this like last week. Like, wait, like what is it? Or no, it might have been actually to tell you the truth. I think it was Mike Lee and Sherman. Like you guys both said it while we've been on here. Like, what are you feeding? What algorithm are you feeding to yourself? So I'm not gonna right. So I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. I've said it before. Like I got 2 young Black men. Like, you know what I'm saying? Those are my sons, and I'm not gonna lie, my last relationship was ass. You know what I'm saying? But the thing is that with my healing, I also understand that I have to go and I literally have started to look for those algorithms in social media, to look for Black men doing good shit. You know what I'm saying? And I have to because of the fact that I'm like, not only am I accountable to my sons, but I'm also accountable for these 4 brothers that I'm on this podcast with. I'm also accountable for the guys who I hold in high regard. I'm also accountable for if I ever decide to date. You know what I'm saying? I'm accountable to whoever it is that I'm going to date next, so I'm doing my work. You know what I'm saying? The community is lacking in unity. Whew. The village concept is dormant. This leaves the members of the community left to self-preservation under the struggle of survival. When we gonna get them there, boo? When we gonna get them there? Because the thing is that we got. Man, I'm telling you, because we got.
Thank you, Maggie.
I'm gonna shut up. Let me go on.
No, that's a good show. Because now we're talking about the machine. We're talking about the system. Because they have now taken their hands completely off the system, and we are running it ourselves. Because all you heard throughout the Black community is mind your own business. And we were never those people.
All the time.
That's another show.
It sure is. I want to ask this question before we go, and I know we gotta go. So
And I'm sorry because we're running over right now.
I
I want to thank everyone for jumping in on tonight's live. I really appreciate all the comments.
Keep that question.
Diame, Nate, Maggie, everyone who left the message. Thanks, Mike Lee, for joining us tonight. Oh my God, we will see you all back here next week. John, you got me?
Yep.